How would you feel if your diary was published to the world and people led their lives by your writings?
I don't live an exciting enough life to have one. Look at who I hang out with. Who would ever want to lead their life following my poor, boring existence with you?
Fortunately, a greater man than you has lived a more exciting life, and he wrote down his lessons on how to live a full, purposeful, happy life.
Who is this man that's greater than I? Austin, the YouTube podcaster.
Many people, actually, but for today, the man is the former emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, and the book is Meditations, translated by Gregory Hayes. The book is a collection of the emperor's self-reflections intended only to be read by himself.
If it was only intended for himself, how do we have it?
Well, it was written nearly 2,000 years ago, around 180 AD. The document has survived by various translations through the years. We don't know who took the original copy.
To survive this long, it must be an interesting diary.
It is. After reading it, I've broken down his writings into 4 primary lessons to guide your life.
Richard, are you trying to tell me something?
No, you shouldn't take this personally. I just think we all need some guidance in our lives sometimes. Some people more than others.
What was that?
Anyway, the first lesson is to focus entirely on what you can control and completely embrace all else that happens to you.
Did he really mean everything? I'm sure stuff like cancer and loved ones dying are exceptions.
No, he meant to embrace everything, most especially pain and death. Marcus Aurelius was a follower of Roman Stoicism. They believed that everything that happens is natural, and all things natural are good, for nature and yourself.
What if somebody else hurts you? That can't be natural.
To quote the man, other people's mistakes, leave them to their makers. It is natural for immoral people to do immoral things. It is your responsibility to recognize those people and treat them as they deserve. To expand on what the emperor believed about good and evil, he explained, you take things you don't control and define them as good or bad. And so, of course, when the bad things happen, or the good ones don't, you blame the gods and feel hatred for the people responsible, or those you decide to make responsible. Much of our bad behavior stems from trying to apply those criteria. If we limited good and bad to our own actions, we'd have no call to challenge God or to treat other people as enemies.
I guess the point is moralizing things you don't control, like fate, nature, and others' thoughts and actions is pointless. Don't worry about that which is beyond your control. Focus on things that affect you directly, that you can act on.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Okay, this guy had some interesting ideas. What was his second lesson?
I am glad you are learning something. Maybe something will stick.
Wait a minute.
The second lesson is to observe the world's grandeur and time's infinity. You should recognize how small your role is and how insignificantly short your time is on Earth.
I thought you were trying to cheer me up. Why are you telling me how insignificant I am?
It is important to see the world as it is. This properly prioritizes your goals in life, as well as minimizing the trauma you face.
I like to think my life is important.
But not every part is. The traffic on the highway, the arguments with strangers, or the wrong order at a restaurant.
Ah, I see. So the small things don't matter. I can get behind that.
Not necessarily. To Marcus Aurelius, it is a mindset that even applies to more serious things, like losing a limb, being assaulted, or losing a loved one. All these things have happened before, countless times, to countless people, and it will continue to happen in the future. The important thing to remember is the world moves on, and it has moved on. The solution is to learn to write with the other hand, to get strong enough to defend yourself in the future, and to be grateful for memories and lessons your loved one gave you, to be better tomorrow.
Whoa, that sure is easy to say, but doesn't seem realistic in practice. I can't help how I feel when something like that happens.
Stoics believed differently. Marcus Aurelius would tell you, in all that happens, keep before your eyes those who experienced it before you, and felt shock and outrage and resentment at it. And now, where are they? Nowhere. Is that what you want to be like? Instead of avoiding all these distracting assaults, leaving the alarms and flight to others, and concentrating on what you can do with it all. And when faced with a choice, remember, our business is with things that really matter.
Is that all it is? Deny your feelings and act like a robot?
Not at all. It's simply analyzing your feelings to see where it comes from and why, then making decisions based on logic with your purpose in mind.
What was Marcus Aurelius' purpose?
That's actually the third lesson. Man's nature, design, or purpose has three elements. First is to work with others. Second is to resist your body's urges. And lastly is to avoid rashness and credulity.
What does credulity mean?
It means a tendency to believe what people tell you too quickly.
Oh, like how I believed you when you said you would help out with the video editing on this channel.
Exactly like that. To be more precise about your purpose, you should, quote, concentrate on what you have to do. Fix your eyes on it. Remind yourself that your task is to be a good human being. Remind yourself what nature demands of people. Then do it without hesitation and speak the truth as you see it, but with kindness, with humility, without hypocrisy.
How do you know what a good human being is? For that matter, what really is good and bad?
Marcus Aurelius would have answered, nothing is good except what leads to fairness and self-control and courage and free will, and nothing bad except what does the opposite.
Sometimes it's hard to remember things like that all the time, especially some mornings.
To that, the emperor would tell you, when you have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, remember that your defining characteristic, what defines a human being, is to work with others. Even animals know how to sleep, and it's the characteristic activity that's the more natural one, more innate, and more satisfying. If you live a life while pursuing your purpose, even if your life was cut suddenly short, you would have lived a full, happy life. Austin?
I'm buying a new lock.
Look, death should not be something you fear, but something you should embrace. That's the fourth lesson. Accepting death.
Richard, I'm not having fun anymore.
I'm not saying you should rush to your death or even seek it out. Marcus Aurelius explains it best. Don't look down on death, but welcome it. It too is one of the things required by nature, like youth and old age, like growth and maturity, like a set of new teeth, a beard, the first gray hair, like sex and pregnancy and childbirth, like all the other physical changes at each stage of life. Our disillusion is no different. So this is how a thoughtful person should await death. Not with indifference, not with impatience, not with disdain, but simply viewing it as one of the things that happen to us. So now you know the 4 lessons to live a more stoic life. Lesson 1. Focus on what you can control. Embrace all else that happens to you. Lesson 2. Recognize how insignificantly short your lifetime is. Lesson 3. Man's nature has 3 elements: to work with others, resist your body's urges, and avoid rashness and credulity. And lesson 4 is to accept death.
So, I'm either going to have better mental health or you're going to kill me in my sleep.
Well, we'll find out next Monday and Friday to see which of Austin's predictions come true.
What?
If any of this has piqued your interest, check out our other content and consider joining our Patreon for our exclusive monthly book club and movie watch party.
Bye, everybody. Tell my family I love them!